So this is high school science ebooks and research starters. So this is really geared to the high school level student. Many times we do Discus presentations that are sort of K through 12. Here's a little bit of everything, but I wanted to be able to really focus at your level here today. We are going to look at using eBooks and mind map in the Credo Reference resource. We're also going to locate and search eBooks from EBSCO. We have a few of those that have been added to those collections that have been added back in the spring. And then we're going to look at finding research starters, magazine articles, journal articles using SmartSearch. And for those of you who have used Discus before, you may know that SmartSearch actually allows you to search across several of our databases at once for results. So I'll show you the difference there between searching directly in Science Reference Center versus searching across the gamut of SmartSearch. What many of you may not be as familiar with are all the different filters and the abilities to choose particular format of information or a particular database to draw those results from. And we will take a peek at tutor.com because it's very important. Although mathematics is the #1 use for the free tutoring for students, there are a lot of great science features there as well. The tutors are available from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and I'm sorry, from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. in the evening. So if a student is stumbling over understanding, you know, the respiratory cycle or DNA model or something with the periodic chart, there are tutors available. So we're going to look at that as well today. So I'm just going to show you a couple of quick slides here just to give you a little flavor of what you will find. In the Credo Reference Collection, there are over 900 specialized encyclopedias that you and your students will be able to search. You can use this for virtual teaching, virtual learning. If you're introducing a new lesson and you just want to familiarize your students with some of the key terms, maybe some structures, some images, you can certainly do that within Credo. You're also able to pull these into a Google Classroom. So if you wanted to, have students utilize one of the resources to answer specific questions, perhaps to work in groups to break out those issues, those are some of the uses for Credo Reference there as well. And then I mentioned in the beginning, in addition to taking a look at the Credo Reference resources, we're also going to look at our SmartSearch, and it is located from the scdiscus.org site that's linked to all of your school libraries to be able to search directly across several of our databases at once here. And it is the SmartSearch tab that we'll be looking at here shortly live. But I just want to show you with these slides first so that if you aren't as familiar with using the EBSCO databases, you'll at least kind of be able to wrap your head around where to look and what to do as we're looking at these. So a search here on climate change, for example, would then show you the result list. And I do have teachers and media specialists tell me, oh, that just overwhelms our students to see all of these options. And they are used to getting their search results from Google. So, that's usually a clean, linear, one-line piece. But once you teach them the advantages to using these filters on the left-hand side, just the time saver that they're going to find alone, we're going to actually walk through and look at some of these filters so that you would be able to share those out with students. Notice whenever we have our result list here, there is a research starter at the top that will introduce the student to that topic, whether it's photosynthesis or whether it is something to do with the Earth's atmosphere or whatever your topic may be. There will be that research starter. But then in the result list, it's going to actually be pulling journal articles, magazines, reviews, eBooks from various collections. So notice this first one is from the ebook collection in EBSCO. The second one is from Business Source Premier. So you can see that that's going to be more of an economic type angle to the topic of climate change there. On your left, you'll notice the limit to, the default is to full text, so that anything your student accesses through a search will actually provide the entire resource. It's not going to just be the index to something, it's actually going to be the full text. And you're also able, with the slider here on the left, to limit to the last 5 years or last 2 years or last 10 years if you're wanting your students to get more current research. Notice at the bottom there is a full text link to the War Against Climate Change article and a full text PDF there. And you can see on the next sheet, whenever you actually click on the PDF, you can see all of the actual article from the New Statesman there. You can see where you can save it to Google Drive, just above that to Google Classroom. And you can also get a source citation for everything. So those of you who are teaching in the classroom at the high school level, and you really want those students to use reliable sources from printed journal articles, magazine articles, and be able to cite those, this is a great place to direct them in order to get all of those features in one place. So if the student did decide they wanted to perhaps quote part of this article or pull a topic from it, they would also be able to get the citation to that article. So they're going to be able to easily document it. And we're going to look at that more closely as well. This one is actually an MLA, but notice there are other styles. So they could also have the APA if you're teaching them to cite with that style for sciences. So that's just a quick little overview of what the EBSCO piece looks like. And we're going to go ahead and exit out of that screen share. And we're going to go into another screen share here where we're going to go live out to our Discus site. Okay, this is the one that you will find linked from your Media Center, or you can go directly to scdiscus.org there. And this is where you're going to find the SmartSearch piece that I mentioned. Those of you that are perhaps new to Discus, the grade level, you can actually go into high school and get a listing of all of the resources that are available here. Some that I will highlight just to show you in this list, the Academic Search Premier is excellent for high school level science. Also, the Credo Reference is one that we're going to look at today. EBSCO eBooks. And as we scroll through the Science Reference Center that you see here at the bottom, along with the ebook collection. And you'll also find the Gale in Context, Opposing Viewpoints. That's an excellent place for high school level students related to issues in science and current controversies in science. And then finally, I want to point out to you the Learn 360 is a video platform that can allow you or your students to locate great videos and science diagrams. So that's just something that I'll point out there as we move along. So we're going to start out with the Credo reference. I'm going to just jump in that for you to see there. What you'll find here is a very easy interface for students to be able to jump right in and do a search. They can search directly in the collection just by keyword here from this top bar. So they could go right in if you have gone over maybe the periodic table and perhaps different students are reporting on that, or they're working maybe in groups and they need to be able to look at different elements or different concepts related to the periodic table. Notice on the left-hand side, it's going to give you an overview of that topic, and then it's going to have an entire list of each one of those specialized encyclopedias that mention or have a heading subject about the periodic table for them. On your right-hand side, you'll see a mind map tool. This is a concept map that takes the main search that they ran, periodic table, and breaks it out. The history of the periodic table is at the top. Chemical elements, electrons, isotopes, etc. Key figures that are related to that periodic table. So this is very useful if you're assigning group work, perhaps, and you want them maybe to report on different sections. Maybe you're doing something right before you do a lab for them. We're going to click on the history of the periodic table there for you to see each time they click on a new concept within that concept map, it's going to drill down a little bit more specifically to the different related terms. And notice our results changed on the left-hand side to more specifically, not only the periodic table, but the history of it, the background of it. The other thing that's very nice for your teaching and for showing in the library is that you can export this to a PDF file that you see here on the right. So you could send this breakdown to a student, or they could share it amongst themselves if they're doing group reporting, etc., to be able to see a breakdown of the concepts. Also, you can expand this. If you see the little square with the arrow here, you can also expand this out. So if you are perhaps doing a virtual lesson, or you're doing something on your smartboard and you want to be able to bring concepts to your students, you can utilize this in that way as well. So we could then go back to periodic table here. We could pull up atomic mass if that's what you're about to cover, and kind of show them some of the concepts there. And then you can also reduce it back down to size and then just direct your students to those resources. So notice on the left, you can actually limit by media. So if you want something that has audio in it or contains an image related to your topic, you can filter there. You can also choose with all types here if you're just looking for definitions there for that piece. There are additional filters that you see here. So again, if you want to filter by the date, you can do that. And notice at the top, we're listing all the articles now, but if you're simply looking for an image, you can just click on the images here. Students can use this as well if they're perhaps reporting on it and want to be able to utilize maybe an image in their presentation. Once you dig one step deeper in looking at the articles themselves, if we kind of scroll through and look at the options that we have here, the student would actually be able to click on the link to the article that would be most appropriate. And once that opens, it will actually open to the book there for the student. This one is actually an encyclopedia of chemistry that gives them a definition here. You can also, again, you can use the filters to actually find which one of these would be most relevant. You can also limit here. Let's see which part I want to show you. I think, let's see which one we have. So these are all, we can limit to just the definitions there. You can also see along the right that we have results from our other databases. So other Discus databases, such as Opposing Viewpoints, have pulled articles that include that same search that they've conducted here. So they're able to pull articles straight out of another database just by viewing the other database sites that are along the right-hand side. So if I go in to the top here and I'm looking up covalent bonds, there as my search subject. And obviously I'll probably be looking for something more specific than just a covalent bond, but something related to it. I can then go in and pull that link. And this is when it actually opens up to the resource, like we showed with that first definition. That's where the student is going to be able to look at more definitions, etc., to get those overviews. Notice the article can be read aloud here at the top. It can be printed out. The citation is very handy for them here. Also, to be able to get the content they would use to cite. So that makes it very handy for them. But also notice the share piece, the share here. So they're able to export this out to their Google Drive and be able to find it later. So they're going to be able to go and send that. Of course, obviously they need to be signed into Google in order to do that, or it's going to ask them to. And we'll just do allow here. And it will go in and save that to the Google Drive, and they'll find it in their recent folder at first there. So they would just go to recent here. And that's where they're going to find those results that they just saved. So they can save articles from it there. And then you can also, I'm just going to click back here so we can get back to the main screen here of our Credo reference. See, I might have to actually go back in. Let's see where we go. Okay, there we are. Sorry, I got on the wrong tab there after I got off into my Google account. But you can see how easily that is used there. I'm going to quickly pause for a second to see if there's any questions or comments in the chat as we go. Chemistry, physical science, I'm seeing some more of these. Okay. Great. Okay, so we're going to move along here. I'm going to kind of show you one of the ways that you can have the students, if they want to kind of broaden their search now that they've got a good understanding of what a covalent bond is. Maybe they're just starting that unit. If we want to, we can actually pull up articles from our other resources here. So they can actually go out to use other sites like the Science Reference Center. Again, you saw that in our list, our high school list. So there's different access points to get here. But notice this actually generated that search on covalent bonds in our Science Reference Center. And here you're going to find excerpts from books. You're going to find articles, magazines, videos here. So this could then expand that information a little bit more for the student. So we could go to the colorful covalent bonds here, click on that PDF full text, and you're going to notice it goes back into that EBSCO software. So once you teach the student how to utilize that EBSCO framework through SmartSearch, they're going to be able to recognize and use this repeatedly, very easily there. You can save this again up to your Google Classroom there on the right, the Google Drive. You can also pull the permalink that you see on the bottom right column down where my little hand is. If you want to actually post this into a Google Classroom or into another assignment, maybe in a different LMS if you don't use the Google Classroom. So you can easily pull that information in there. And your citation is just above the permalink. And it's going to be the little paper that you see here is going to allow the student to be able to look at the APA for the contents to be able to cite that source. So that's kind of looking at Credo Reference, kind of jumping into the Science Reference Center there. I'm going to go back to that result list that we had in Science Reference Center. And then we're going to go back out to our high school Discus page that I showed you at the beginning. And we're going to look at, actually, no, we're going to go to SmartSearch. We'll just do that because that'll be all in one search there for you. So this is the example that I gave you with the first search example that I showed you when we were doing climate change. So you can do various searches here as well. So if you were just wanting to look up photosynthesis, maybe with the biology side of it, perhaps you're wanting to look at Milky Way. Some of you that are teaching physics may look at wave amplitude or other kinds of topics there. Notice what you're getting here. It defaults as a keyword search, which is what you see here at the top. So you can imagine the word photosynthesis is being pulled from every article. So the keyword search is going to have a large result number, like you'll find out on Google. If you want to have your students change that to a subject search, it's going to narrow those resources. Because the whole article has to be about it, you know, the majority of the article or the book excerpt, etc. The reason that's important is that that's not something that teachers and students typically have to be concerned with when they're out on the internet, because they're just going to be able to pull what, you know, kind of what they see. But if they learn the difference between the keyword and subject search here, it's a much more controlled search. So for instance, if they do a keyword search on photosynthesis, the entire article starts out as opposed to photosynthesis, people will, you know, this whole article is about the Krebs cycle. So because that word photosynthesis was somewhere in the article, it pulled it up just like it does on a Google search. But whenever you limit by subject here, you can see that you're going to get a bit fewer results, but you're also going to get more precise results related to the topic that you want to see. And I'm not sure why each time I have changed it there, it is defaulting back to subject. Let's see if I'm defaulting back to keyword. Let me see what's causing it to do that. I haven't seen it do this before, but you know, things happen. Well, it's actually not doing what it should do. But what it should be doing, and I'm going to look into this and troubleshoot it after the session, but what it should be doing is actually only pulling those resources that have photosynthesis here in the subject headings. So this one is pulling them both that's from the subject heading as well as those that are just keywords somewhere in the article. So you can see the research starter that could help your students here, yes, particularly if you're starting a new unit. This is information that's going to give them a very good overview of what it is and how it relates to different key topics in science. Perhaps if there are key figures related to it, if it were something like the Krebs cycle or something specific there. So that's where they're going to be able to utilize those research starter pieces. One of you mentioned in the chat that you are looking for more journal article types of information for students to be able to get familiar with something a little more advanced. Notice along the left side, these are pulling articles from 1911 to 2021. So if I decrease that, let's say to the last, we'll say since 2016 there, that's going to definitely decrease my numbers now of publications that it's pulling from. But also, you're going to be able to limit your results here on the left. So if you are only interested in those books, if you click on show more here on the left, you can see under I want to see, if your assignment is for them to pull articles from academic journals, you could limit to that. If the assignment is you want them to locate eBooks that include the topic, they could limit to that as well. If this list appears long and cumbersome, and it's going to depend on your search as to how long it is, You can also click on name right here and quickly alphabetize the types of resources. So I can easily find my eBooks and update here. And now I'm going to be able to pull any of those books that include photosynthesis within the topic there. So if I want to go through and actually open any one of these books, you're going to see when we click on it here, again, you can just click on the PDF full text right here, and you're going to be able to, the student's going to be able to navigate through the book. Notice they can search within the piece here. So if they're only wanting to find that key term anywhere in the book, they can just type that in. So at this point, it's as though they actually have the book in their hand and they're browsing through it. So they're going to be able to find all the different pages that key term is found within the book here. And they're also going to be able to use the contents tab there on the left if they just want to browse the chapters. So if they want to look at plant reproduction chapter or cycles of life, etc., they can easily navigate to that section of the book. And then notice the download, so they can actually download that chapter if they're wanting to utilize that maybe once they get home, or maybe later as they're doing some of their research. It also allows them to print out pages here at the top. And as I mentioned before, the citation here at the top, they're going to be able to go in and find that APA or MLA style for the information about the book there as well. So one of the things is just getting your students kind of excited about what they'll find, but also helping them realize that whatever they do to limit that search on the front end here is going to save them time on the back end where they're actually going to get more relevant search results. Notice this last filter at the bottom. You can actually filter based on our databases. So the databases that this is searching are listed here under Show More. Again, I can, it defaults by pulling up those databases that have the most hit count on that word, photosynthesis. But if I wanted to, I could, again, just alphabetize those resources in alphabetical order to quickly find something. So let's say you as a teacher are actually more interested in finding videos that are related to it. You can see these are not in alphabetical order, so it might be to your best interest to click on name there. Have those alphabetized in such a way that it's easy to find your Learn 360 here. You can look at those results from Learn 360. And if you wanted to be able to pull a video up when you're describing an aspect of photosynthesis, it's very easy just to pull in any of those videos from our other database. So this is a video on nutrition and photosynthesis, the ecosystem, the rainforest with photosynthesis, biochemistry there. So you could then just go right into this other database, view it in Learn 360, quickly utilize that resource. If you decide, oh, this is something that I really would like to add to my Google Classroom or show in class, you can do that. So you can see on the right is where you would add it to your Google Classroom. And then you can also go back to that list. You can go back into your list there. Look at another one. You'll notice here on the right, what we just pulled up was a science lesson plan. But you can see to the left where it indicates video recording there. So you can see also other activities that are available there. And then if we just go back one more click to our initial result list that we got while we were in SmartSearch there, you can also go back and do the same thing. You can show your student how to limit to just those articles in Academic Search Premier if you want to do that. One of you mentioned in chat about opposing viewpoints. So if you're only interested in finding those articles that are in opposing viewpoints here, you can limit and pull up those articles that include photosynthesis in the other database as well. So that starting point with SmartSearch allows you to utilize many of the Discus resources without having to retype the search over and over and over. So I'm going to pause a moment for to check the chat to see if there are any questions that you all have posted. If not, this is a good time if any of you have something specific that you want to see there. Okay, I don't see anything at the moment, but I'll check it one last time before we end today. If there's anything that I clicked too fast or you happen to glance away and want to see again, please let me know that as well. So you'll notice, and you might have already noticed as I was talking, when you're looking at a list of results on the far right-hand side, you're going to see related images. So if you are only looking for an image that goes along with your lecture or demonstration that you're doing in class, or if the students want to utilize any of those are available there along the right as well. So you'll also see if, with other topics, so if we want to go out and do a whole new search here in SmartSearch, we can revise that search here. If we wanted to, maybe we're studying about the Milky Way or something to do with gravity and how it affects the Milky Way, etc. I'm just going to search on galaxy here. Again, this is actually as a keyword search. And you'll see, again, the overview. If all I am interested in are pulling the academic journals that are related to this, I can limit to academic journals on the side. I can also limit my years if I want to do that. If I'm only interested in academic journals about galaxies that are talking about gravity, perhaps in relation to gravity, or specific interest there, that's where the student is going to be able to get a little bit more specific search results that are related to the topic that they're searching on. So they're going to be able to find some of these additional resources here. And then again, you are going to have options there to be able to pull some of these, to be able to pull the full text and use it the same way as I showed on the other two. So we have, I see something in chat here, how to use SmartSearch and limit. Oh, good. Yeah, that's something that if you can get your students over that hump of being kind of overwhelmed when they see all of this for the first time, just to see what kind of control they really have on limiting, that really does save them time in the end. So the other thing that you can go directly to do, in addition to locating the eBooks, you can actually check to see if there's an ebook here that includes that. Again, just by going back to I want to see, limiting, and then those two keywords must appear in order for it to actually pull that ebook. So you can see there are a lot of good resources here that the students and teachers would be able to use. So then the last thing that I definitely want to mention to all of you is whether you're a teacher or a media specialist, it's great when you are in a situation where you realize your student is struggling understanding a science concept, maybe trying to get a homework piece together. I wanted to kind of close out of all these other tabs and just take you back to that high school page to show you the tutor.com. This is something that our agency director found would be very important to students, and she added it into our permanent Discus platform, at least through the end of this full school year. Most of the students will connect with math problems and math issues, but your high school students also have the opportunity to get assistance with science. So they could scroll down to the bottom here and be able to locate the science options, or they can go to the top connect with a tutor now. Students in South Carolina are not required to log in order to connect directly with a live tutor. So they could just close this piece, but they would then choose the grade level that they're in. For instance, oops, I think I have it on reading. So if they are actually doing something with science, I'm not sure where oh, there we go, went right past it. So once they indicate the topic, it will give the grade levels here in general. They may actually be working on a concept that's technically a 9th grade piece, but that doesn't matter. They can still ask their tutor about it. The main part is that they're going to be given those science sections that are related to that grade level. So as you can see here, if they're struggling with a topic in biology and they don't understand, they can just say confused about the Krebs cycle here, and they would connect directly with that tutor, and the tutor would be able to help explain it. So this is very useful after school. Student, it's 8 o'clock at night. The student is struggling with something. They can't really contact their teacher at the time. Maybe they've scored poorly on a test and they want a little bit of quick review. These are great homework helps to have the live tutors assisting them here. So just so that you know, this is definitely something you all want to share out to your high schoolers as well, and not just for math, but also for these science concepts that you see. There's also, under other tools, there are also some math and English videos that they can use offline. I say offline, but during the times that the tutors aren't available. So the tutors are available from 8 a.m. until 10 p.m. Eastern time there for them. There are also preps for AP exams and videos there. The high school student will need to create an account to use any of these grayed out sections for the paper review, a math question drop off there, or if they want to do the AP kinds of practice and such as that. So they would need to create an account there or sign in to be able to utilize those, because those are going to be asynchronous, where they drop off a math question. Maybe it's a math question that's somehow related to heredity or genetics, where they're trying to figure out how to set something up or work with something there, or maybe something with astronomy and they're struggling. It's not so much the science, but they're struggling with the math behind that concept. So there's just a lot of flexibility there. If a student drops off a paper, maybe their paper on the Milky Way, they'll actually get that reviewed. It's not a paper mill, so they're not going to get an entire paper signed, sealed, and delivered, returned to them. They're just going to get tips about, look at these paragraphs. This isn't clear what you're writing here. It's not clear to me as a reader. Watch your dangling participles or those kinds of things when it's related to the paper review. And then the math question, they actually go step by step explaining, how to set up the question and to use it there. So I just want to make sure you all as teachers and media specialists are aware of that. I am going to do one more bonus for you in our last minute or two that we have until 3:15 here, to show you inside that Learn 360, you're able to actually limit these videos. So you have videos here and printables. You can limit them to your high school level. So if you want to look at the printables and maybe all you need is something that you want to put up in your Google Classroom or your learning management system, you can click on the science diagrams that you find here, broken out by the different pieces of science there. Notice these are great printable handouts. So if those of you when everyone moved to a virtual environment there for a while, you can't really distribute a paper handout, but you can distribute some of these PDFs just by posting them, like I said before, into your Google Classroom. So these are really quick science diagrams, handouts on everything that you saw there. that you can utilize. You can also download these as a file. And then also, if we go back home, you can go into the videos as for high school level. You can actually limit these videos to high school after you browse subjects. So you would do video, browse subject, and then you would look at, if you're doing something related to engineering on this side, biology, chemistry, physics here. You could pull that broad category. There are over 900 videos. Limit it to your high school level or your academic advanced placement level. And from those 900 videos, there are over 800 that are still relevant for you to be able to use. So that's the last thing that I'll show you there. Whenever you click on the video, you are able to get a transcript of it there on the right. You're able to send it to your Google Classroom here, or you're able to just pull it up in class on your smartboard and show it right away from there. So I'm going to ask one more time. It looks like we're up on our time where we're just about finished here. If there aren't any other questions immediately, you are welcome to email me or email the Discus office, and you're able to, I'm going to give you this. You're welcome to email me or the Discus office as you run into questions. We've had a lot of teachers and media specialists asking questions there. If you have a couple of minutes, if you wouldn't mind clicking on the SurveyMonkey link that I've added to chat. We are federally funded and we do require having feedback on all of our various services that we provide through electronic resources and Discus. And we would appreciate that survey there being fed back to us, because we appreciate your feedback, and also to be able to improve and continuously improve what we're providing you. And I'm also providing you with my email address there. So if anybody does maybe have questions off the recording that you would like to ask, you're welcome to email me at any time. Thank you. I'm glad that you found that helpful. And we look forward to seeing you all again in a future webinar. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but any of you who would like to, maybe ask a question off the recording, you're welcome to do that.